There you go, recording started. Good to have everyone here. Good to meet everyone. My name's Nate. I'm one of the co-founders of Colosseum. So yeah, this session is, I don't want to talk too long. I want some of this to be like a Q&A once we get through the materials. And if you guys have questions about Colosseum or the hackathon, about the university programs that we're running and the prizes, that's really what I want to spend like the latter half of this on. But first, to just give you guys a rundown of what it is Colosseum even does, what is the hackathon? I did put together a bit of a slide deck just kind of um, to just give us a framework for this. So let me share my screen and I will go through that real quick. Um, all right. Do you guys see this? Let me put it in the slideshow mode, I guess.
Yeah, we can see it, or at least I can.
Okay, sweet. Cool. So yeah, this is about how to pitch a killer hackathon project for a Colosseum hackathon. And so we're going to kind of go through what that even is. But hopefully some of the stuff in here is like more broadly useful for you guys. It's not all specific to Colosseum. So first of all, yeah, I guess just the broad overview, what's Colosseum, and then we'll dive into the upcoming breakout hackathon that you may have seen some branding floating around, and then how to build and pitch a killer project so you can win some prizes. Just real quick, who am I? This is classic repping my crypto NFT PFP, but I went to Claremont McKenna for undergrad a long time ago, and then I was a software engineer for about 8 years across a few fintech companies, including Stripe most recently, and where I worked on the crypto team. And then right after that, left and founded Colosseum to help grow the Solana ecosystem. And so that's what I do full time now. Um, and so yeah, Colosseum. We are a few different things rolled into one. Um, we work in the Solana ecosystem. Our overarching goal is to grow the Solana ecosystem long term through investments, through event organization, partnership with the Solana Foundation, and to basically just like, if you can think of the Solana ecosystem like an economy, we want to grow the GDP of that economy, and we want to grow the number of like viable businesses more specifically. So how do we do that? We have these few components, like I mentioned. One is a hackathon program. The second is an accelerator program. And then the third is a venture fund where we make investments into startups in the Solana ecosystem. So the hackathon is a little bit unique. Like I was saying, this is really focused on businesses, right? This is focused on sustainable contributors to the economy of sort of Solana. And so for that to work long term, we've really focused in on startups more so than just like a weekend project that you might build at a typical hackathon. Um, I lived in San Francisco for a long time and I went to a lot of hackathons there. And those are always a ton of fun. But typically, after you go to one of those hackathons, it's like 3 days long or whatever, maybe 2 days long. You don't really keep working on the thing that you built at the hackathon, right? It's just like you stay up all night, maybe drink a bunch of like Red Bull, and then you meet some people and that's really cool. But then like that project is just done. Like it was just an experiment or whatever. So for us, we really want to incentivize um, startups that will stick around. So our hackathons are 5 to 6 weeks long. They are fully online, which means they are open to anyone globally. They're not just like geographically tethered. And you don't have to be technical to participate. They're not just for developers. It takes all kinds of people to build successful startups. You need business people, you need product people, especially now with AI tools. Like you don't even really need as many engineers as you used to need. And like those engineers can kind of like learn and build on the fly with AI. So it's actually like less and less true that you need to be like hyper technical, depending what you're building. Some products are just going to be more technical than others, but bottom line, like anyone is welcome to participate. Some of the best startups come from folks in, not based in the US, based around the world, and not necessarily with a background in crypto. And so growing the Solana ecosystem long term is like it's about onboarding people. Not everyone wants to start a startup from day one, but this is kind of just an opportunity to see what it feels like building on Solana or building a startup with a team and see if you like that. Um, these have been pretty successful though, and so that's kind of why Colosseum exists, why we're doubling down on this space. Um, the hackathons in the Solana ecosystem are responsible for a lot of the successful companies, and so I'm not sure how many folks in here are like would consider themselves crypto native or not. Oops, let me skip ahead a little. But you might recognize if you've used any apps on Solana, you might recognize some of these as being some of the biggest, like most well-loved applications. And all of these actually got started in a hackathon in some form. And then, they went on to raise more money. They went on to like form, start a startup and to grow and hire. But these all started in the hackathon. So it's been a pretty successful way thus far to actually like create these companies and to grow the ecosystem. And so um, this is also just like a little view of how quickly that's happened. Like Solana hasn't really been around that long, but for those of you who are paying attention, like you probably noticed, Solana has taken up a lot of mind share, and so we just want to use these hackathons to continue to grow that mind share, especially for builders like you guys, who are actually here to like build lasting things. So the next pillar is the accelerator. So this is after each hackathon, we pick 10 to 15 teams from the winners. And I'll get into like what the pool of winners looks like and like because there's a lot of prizes that are not related to the accelerator, but from that pool of winners, we also invite folks into this accelerator program. And this is kind of like Y Combinator or like 500 startups if you're familiar with those models. Um, but this is like very tailored for Solana and for crypto. We plug you into the ecosystem, basically get you connected up to anyone that you need to get connected to, including even like the founders of Solana themselves. Toli and Raj are pretty close with the program that we run. And it's 8 weeks for now. It's fully online for now. There's an asterisk there because we're actually considering introducing a short in-person component pretty soon. So that's a bit of alpha for you, but that's not like official. So your mileage may vary when it comes to this, but this is the shape of it. We've run 2 cohorts so far, and we think that those have gone pretty well. So we're looking forward to doing our third soon. And then just the last piece is the venture fund. So we are at at the end of the day, we are a venture firm. We invest money in your company for equity and potentially like tokens. Um, we invest 250K right now into each accelerator team. So if you're accepted into that accelerator, that's what you get. Um, and we're not opinionated on categories. We're not like, we don't really have strong um, affinities for just like one vertical. We are really more looking for the founders and the right people with the fit to build in like wherever they've chosen to build. So we invest very early stage, right? So like a lot of times it's even like pre-product or pre-product launch. Like people know what they're building, but they haven't necessarily like fully launched it yet. And so it's not just for experienced founders. We have some second-time founders, third-time founders, but the vast majority are first-time founders. And so that's kind of why the accelerator, it works really well. It gives you some structure and connections to like really hit the ground running um, with your startup. Okay, so I recognize that not everyone in here necessarily wants to start a startup or like feels ready to do that. So that's not the only interesting thing about the hackathon. So let's talk about Breakout. Breakout is our newest upcoming hackathon. It's starting really soon, as been, I think, mentioned, starting April 14th. Um, the theme is like break out of your boring life kind of a vibe, break out of, maybe you're graduating, you guys are graduating soon. Um, or, you've worked at Facebook for however many years editing the like button. And so like there's some pretty sweet branding associated with this. I'm going to pull up the website in a second to show you guys all the prizes and stuff. But yeah, this is Breakout. The bottom line is you just have to build something on Solana. Um, Even existing projects are allowed. Like if you've been building in this space for a while, that's awesome. We actually want you to submit to hackathon. Like again, these are not traditional hackathons. We only ask that you and your team commit to like putting in work during the hackathon period, and because that's what's going to be judged. So you do need to like if you have an existing project, like number one, if it's not on Solana, then you could pivot it to Solana. If it's already on Solana, awesome. Maybe scope out a new feature, um, or think of like some iteration or pivot within your existing project and just build that. And then that's what you can submit. And that's totally fine. Like those projects in that category can definitely win. Um, this is again part of like we want to see people who are committed to building. And so like even if you've been here for a while, like that's yeah, that's totally fine. Just make sure you submit it by the deadline. This is when the portal closes for submissions. And yeah, if even if you're not building something that is like super long term, like clearly a big startup idea, that's okay. I know that I'm really harping on that a lot because like that is important, but that's not the only way to win. And that's not the only thing that we emphasize. So I guess this is a good opportunity to check out the website. I think if I click this, it's probably, what do you guys see? Do you still see the slide deck or do you see the website?
It's good. It's the website.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, let's scroll down a little bit to, I recommend everyone watch this video, by the way. It's hilarious. I'm not going to play it right now, but um, check this website out for sure. So yeah, this is the accelerator program. We already talked about that. Okay, here's the structure of the prizes. There's a grand prize that's $50,000. Um, there's a public goods award. So this is exactly in line with what I was saying. Like public goods are not this is really a prize for somebody that's not building a startup. This is actually for someone building let's say like an open source library or a tool that other developers could find really useful. That's not necessarily something you can monetize or like build a huge business around. We have $10,000 for that. There is the university award, so you can kind of think of the university award as the grand prize for university team. So this is like across all of the categories and tracks, basically just the best university project. And so, yeah, there's within each track, there's also prizes for university teams. So I'm going to get to that in a sec. But yeah, this is the overall one, and university teams are also eligible to win the grand prize, by the way. It hasn't happened before, but I mean, I definitely think it's possible, and I would love for that to happen in Breakout or at one of the upcoming hackathons. So definitely think that's possible. This is also new. We have a mobile award. This is something kind of interesting in the Solana ecosystem. If you guys aren't super familiar, the Solana Labs has actually built a mobile phone, um, and they're on iteration two of it. Actually, it's an Android phone that has like an integrated uh, chip that like basically securely keeps a private key. So it's kind of like a hardware wallet integrated inside of your phone, and they have a dApp store for decentralized apps where you can use the phone, the private key inside of your phone to interact with those apps in like a very seamless way. So this is like a pretty big reward. This is funded by Solana Mobile or Solana Labs for the best Solana dApp. And so, okay, cool. On to some of the more interesting things for you guys. Um, I guess number one is the dropout program. So this is very new. We're trying this out for Breakout. We're really excited about it. This is basically a golden ticket to an investment from the fund and the accelerator program for a university team who's willing to go in all in and like build their startup. So again, I know that's not necessarily everyone, but if you are somebody that you know you want to build a startup and like you're ready to go, we would love to talk to you. We'd love for you to submit, obviously, to the hackathon, but like, yeah, if you're in that bucket and you're really excited about this, actually, like, feel free to reach out to me. I'll have some contact info at the end because this is something that we're really excited about, and yeah, that's the dropout program. For each track, like I mentioned, there is a university team prize. This is also new for Breakout. Again, any university team can technically win these other prizes. Like that has happened in the past. But we also just want to reward university teams um, separately and like uh, I guess twice over because like we recognize that it is difficult to compete in a global hackathon when you're in university. You guys like maybe some people are just kind of learning Solana development for the first time. Also, you have finals and all this kind of stuff going on. So we want to reward you guys for participating, for building something cool. And that that's sort of like a slightly, I guess, I mean, probably still very competitive, but slightly less competitive than just the overall pool. So these are the 7 tracks that we have for Breakout. Um, I'm not going to go through each and every one. Hopefully, they're pretty self-explanatory. I think maybe the only one that wouldn't be if you're new, really, really new to crypto is DePIN, but that's essentially decentralized physical infrastructure. Um, really, it's physical or virtual infrastructure. So Render Network is an example. Helium is a big one. It's like a mobile phone network built using Solana token incentives. So that's that one. I think the rest are probably pretty familiar, self-explanatory, but yeah, definitely check out this page um, and read through them as well. We got a great group of judges. Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, Toli and Raj are really involved. They love the hackathons because it's like a new crop of products on Solana, and they look through those. We're super excited. We have a few workshops this time around. These are streamed online. This will help you get started with development on Solana if you're new to that. There's a couple that are like a little bit more specific. This one's game development. This is like startup, very startup focused. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it on the prizes. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry. I think we have Evan on here, so he can maybe add something if I miss it. But oh, I guess this is really just a teaser. Uh, Exclusive initiatives are coming for students competing in Breakout. And so stay tuned and follow Evan on Twitter. I think Evan, there's not other details yet, right? This is
Yeah,
just
hey guys. You guys hear me properly?
yeah.
Yeah, so details aren't fully out yet, but what we're gonna do, I don't know if all you guys attended NBC or in the chats, but we're worked at a partnership where we're actually gonna add to the prize pool and do it as somewhat of a participation prize. So if people don't have the experience they want to start their building on Solana process, but they don't feel like they're going to come in first place just because they're not there yet in terms of expertise. They now get access to this prize pool that's more of like a participation prize. So we're putting up about 2,500, and I haven't announced it yet. Hopefully I can announce it by tomorrow. Nate, I'm just waiting on when we're going to do the MVC info session. We'll do that so that people get that experience or get like incentivized, even if they're not, core Solana developers yet. That's one side of it, and then the other side of it is I've been working out free tickets to the Solana Accelerate conference in New York City, and it seems like that's going to go through. So in addition to this 2,500 participation prize, we're going to use about 2,500 for subsidies, so that students that submit and that engage in these info sessions and deserve it get access to the Solana conference. So one, free tickets, and then two, a piece of 2,500 to support their travel. I'm going to talk about that a bit more when it's fleshed out. We're going to do another info session, I think next Wednesday, to discuss all of this, and then we're also setting up some office hours with the Solana Foundation so that people get the chance to, learn developer skills, or if they get stuck in their code, they get some support and kind of getting through those points. So that's a quick rundown.
Awesome.
All sound good though, Nate?
Yeah, that's great.
I think it's structured much better than the initial plan. It's just and
Yeah,
it aligns incentives.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited about that. I wanted to just give you a chance to plug it. I wasn't sure if all the details were there yet, but it sounds like more to come. So follow Evan or also follow NBC.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it. I just did that one from my personal because I was like, I just wanted to showcase the Colosseum hackathon. But the exact details on the partnership will come from the NBC account. So follow that. And if you didn't come to the conference next year, we're happy to help you guys or support and make sure you guys are here next year.
Sweet. All right. So that is the hackathon. Um, I have a whole section on the actual like title topic, which is how to build a great hackathon project and how to pitch it. So I'm gonna jump into that, but I guess maybe like, does anyone have questions first on the hackathon or on Colosseum before I keep going? I'll stop at the end too. Um, so yeah, no worries if you think of something as we go.
I got a question, Nate, real quick.
Yeah.
So are the accelerator and the dropout program, what's the difference between the two? Or is it just the same thing, different title type thing?
They're actually pretty different. So the dropout program that's tied to the hackathon. That's like a university team potentially getting an investment in the accelerator program, going through the program for Colosseum. The accelerate, yeah, it has the name accelerate, which sounds similar, but it's actually completely different. This is something that Solana Foundation is running. It's actually an in-person conference in New York City, in May. So it's like a multi-day event, where a bunch of people are coming to New York. There's talks on all sorts of like the tech side, the policy side, um, product building on Solana. Like a lot of teams will be there, building in the ecosystem. The Colosseum team will be there for sure. So that's what Evan was talking about. There's going to be some free tickets for this up for grabs um, for certain teams, I guess through NBC. So yeah, this is like an upcoming event that's pretty separate from the hackathon.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was asking more on the side of, so the dropout program, and then you have the accelerator for the specific winners of the hackathon. What's the difference between those two, if that makes sense?
Oh, I see. Yeah. So I mean, in a lot of ways, the accelerator is like the prize. Um, the main thing is like we just don't typically offer that to university teams because the like it's yeah, I guess like basically the whole premise of the accelerator is like you're working full time on a startup, and you're committing to that and like really giving that a shot, which like for a successful startup could be years, right? Like it could be 5, 10 years, like end to end or even longer. So typically it's university teams are not really included in that group. This is specifically targeted to university teams and really just like opens the door to them. And it's also like why we're doing a lot of these sessions this time around and kind of just like a lot more yeah, workshops and outreach to just make that known that we have like this check, potentially even more than one check reserved for university team. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, you do go through the accelerator. You'll get like a little bit of extra support for sure than the typical team, but you go through the same program, you get the money, and you get all the same like perks and mentorship as well. Cool. Okay. I'll jump back in to the deck and then yeah, let's get through this piece on how to build and how to pitch. Okay, so this is going to be kind of tailored for people who are interested in building startups, but still some of it applies. Like if you just want to build something interesting in the hackathon. Okay, so how do you come up with something to build? So a few things not to do first. One is like don't just go top down and build like a solution for something that sounds good. Okay, so this is like the classic like Uber for pets. Like that sounds cool or whatever, but who's going to use it? Like what problem are you solving? Um, like it's easy to kind of do this if you think in terms of buzzwords, then you might latch onto like something that sounds really good, but when you dig into it, it's not solving a problem for somebody. And so who's going to use it is really the question you should be asking. Another one is like, is this something that you are actually interested in or excited about? Like, would you be willing to work on this for a long time? Founder market fit is really important. So there's a lot more to founder market fit than just what you're excited about, but I would say like, is this something you could see yourself working on for years? Is like table stakes. Like that's you have to be willing to do that to succeed at a startup because when you build a startup is so hard. Like if you're just going to give up on it pretty quickly, then that's not really worth it. Um, but yeah, other things are like, do you have like the background and skills to even recognize what's like novel in this market? Like, are you just building something that is surface level? Like, I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. But yeah, founder market fit is big. This is something that we look for in the pitches, um, especially for the accelerator program. And then finally, again, this is really just if you're thinking about a startup, but think about your market. Like, um, if you're building a business, at the end of the day, you have to make money. And so, yeah, is it like, are there enough people in the world that care about what you're building? Or are there like enough people to start out and then a rapidly expanding set of people that really care, that are going to care about this long term? Um, and so like, yeah, this is where you can kind of look at certain trends. Um, like most recently, like AI is advancing very rapidly and like people are sort of paying more and more attention to that. So there's a lot of like growing subsectors within that. Um, but this could also be taking advantage of cultural trends that are creating new markets that are growing very rapidly, like in crypto. Maybe you're excited about the tokenization of like social networks or social reputation, and like you have a thesis that social media or I guess just culture is becoming kind of more financialized, And so you can make the case that like financialization of cultural artifacts like social media posts is a growing market. And so like that's why you're building there. But definitely think about that up front. And just kind of like you should be convinced at least and be able to talk convincingly about why you're building something that will be meaningful in the long run. Okay, so more concretely, then here's a few ways to come up with a good idea if you don't have one. Um, this is not exhaustive, but like you can kind of just go down this list. Like a great way is just literally a problem you yourself have. Um, if you're already crypto native, just think about the things that you think could be improved. Like if you can't think of anything that you would want built or improved in crypto, I would say you're probably not thinking hard enough because it's like most products in crypto are pretty rough. There's a lot of bad UX. There's a lot like with wallets, for example. Um, DeFi is like pretty opaque. It's hard to like use, in my opinion, compared to like a lot of TradFi interfaces. So yeah, one example is like we actually invested in a project that is that started out just building like a yield optimizer for borrow lend markets, and that is just a problem that they had. Like they just wanted to get the best yields and not have to like constantly manually rebalance. So they're like, okay, well, we have this problem, so maybe other people have this problem too. So we're going to build this thing, and like it actually took off, and a lot of people are using it. So that's always a good way to start. Um, Second is like what new things are possible now that weren't before. So yeah, again, AI comes to mind here because like it's kind of a fundamental unlock in certain areas. Um, but again, just make sure that that's like in service of like solving a problem. It's not just using AI just to use like the buzzword. But yeah, this is typically a good one because it means you'll probably be building something novel that like couldn't really have been created before. So there's a big opportunity with that. Um, or just look at existing successful things and just improve them or expand them in pretty, in some useful way. Like this is the classic like L1, like you there's Ethereum was the first smart contracts platform, L1, and then Solana came along, and the founding team was basically like, well, what if we had Ethereum but it was faster and like more performant? Um, and I'm oversimplifying, but like that was kind of the core pitch, and it still is today. Um, and that's okay. This is actually a very successful way to build a startup. It's like don't be afraid of having competitors. Like you obviously don't want to just like completely copy paste something. Like for one, just because I don't know, that's like just for integrity reasons, and like you're probably not like going to get a good rep or stand out if you do that. But building something that already exists and having competitors is totally fine. In fact, I would say like that's kind of a good sign in some ways. Um, it basically means that there's people that want that thing. Like if there's, assuming your competitors are successful somewhat, like you've already validated product market fit. Like you just need to build something that's significantly better or that just expands in a different way than what they're building, and just compete. Or you can compete on brand if you think their brand is really bad. There's lots of ways to compete, and like especially with startups, it's kind of anyone's game. Like there's no, unless there's a true monopoly, which takes many years like to play out. You can anything can happen. So yeah, don't let that discourage you. And then finally, just ask people like, I guess this a better way to put it is like crowdsource ideas. This could be people in person. If you have a lot of crypto native friends, just like bounce ideas off of them. I think that's actually uh, probably a really great way to find startup ideas. But another one is like you can just look at, I mean, some VCs or like builders in the space will publish lists. Or if you follow people on Twitter, they'll just often talk about like, man, I really wish X existed. Like, I really wish someone would just build this. And then like those oftentimes are like sound like good ideas and they're not good ideas for various reasons, but oftentimes they actually are good ideas because those people are at the frontier of like their domain and they're looking very closely. And like those ideas do come from a very educated vantage point. So yeah, so ask people, and then I guess in brackets, like who know what they're talking about. And that will hopefully yield something if none of this other stuff does. Okay, so let's assume you found an idea through this, or maybe you already have one. And it's just something you're super passionate about for whatever reason. Okay, so how do you actually get to an MVP, or I guess what do you do next? So basically, if you're if you're wanting to like to build a startup or to know if you're going in the right direction, you have to launch something and get users. Um, because otherwise you'll just be building in a vacuum. And so basically, like you should let the rubber meet the road as quickly as possible, um, and build a minimum thing that solves the problem that you're setting out to solve. So I think this is true even if you're not looking to build a startup, you're just kind of building a hackathon project. Like you should still just think in terms of like what is the thing you're trying to solve, and like what is the minimum like end to end thing that you can build that solves that. Like so, meaning you can actually get somebody to use it. Like maybe it's your friend, or maybe it's your mom or something, and like you can sit them down and say like, okay, sit in front of this interface and like use this product, and can they actually use it? Is it going to solve the problem that you want to solve um, effectively? And so like I think there's obviously this tension between like quality and then speed. And so a lot of people can get hung up on like, oh, I want it to look really good, or I want it to like have all these extra bells and whistles. Um, I would say that none of that's important really for the MVP. It just needs to work and solve the problem. And so that does mean there is a quality bar, which is like, is the user experience good enough that somebody can actually use it and solve the problem that they want to solve with it. But it does not mean that you need to like hire a bunch of designers and have it be like really pretty and polished. Just get it out there and just onboard some people. um, and so like in the hackathon, not everybody gets to this point, and that's actually fine. But even if you don't have time to launch and get users, this will still guide your process of like deciding what to build, right? Because when you sit down in front of your computer to build, like maybe you're writing code or you're like doing product design, you still need to decide like what to do first. And so like you just always should keep this kind of like guiding principle in the back of your mind, even if you haven't like launched the thing yet. If you do get to launch the thing and you get some users, or you just do like a closed beta, then you're in a great position because you'll start getting feedback, and that will help you from that point on. So um, feedback will guide you as you iterate. And then, yeah, the last piece is like, what does it actually mean to iterate? Um, yeah, there's like a lot of talk about, people talk a lot about pivoting, or like iterating, and like these are almost like buzzwords at this point. I think just like one important difference there is like, um, in my mind, iterating is like you're keeping like the problem that you're solving, and you're keeping your user base the same. Like like let's go back to like the yield optimizer. It's like, you know, you wanted to build a tool that would let people find the best borrow lend yields on chain. And so your user base is like people that are actually looking for those things. So it's kind of like DeFi degen people. And then like the problem is like to do that, to find them those yields like in a very seamless way. And then like, so let's say you build a product, and you get your DeFi user friend to use it, and like they're not like getting it. They're not like able to actually like plug in their wallets properly, and get the best yields. Like, so to iterate there is like, then you need to figure out a better way to solve that same problem. Like you need to figure out a better way to get them to the best on-chain yields. It doesn't mean that you should now find a different problem to solve, which might be like, yeah, you're now going to pivot into like a staking product or something. Like it means like you should keep the same problem space, keep the same users, just like tweak what you've built so that you're solving the problem in a better way. Um, so yeah, that's like your process in these early stages. Don't throw away the problem space. Okay, cool. We're almost at the end. The pitch. So this is like a concise version of why people should invest or care about this if you're not asking for investment. Concise is really important. It's really important, like in the scope of the hackathon, because we see like thousands of these, but it's also just important broadly because most people have short attention spans. Um, like, yeah, people have short attention spans. You guys are probably tuning out already about this because I'm talking so much. So like, you know that a few minutes into something, you're gonna lose interest. And so we ask for 2 minutes or less. And like that might seem really short, but it's doable for sure. Y Combinator, which is like the famous accelerator program, they have kind of gone between like 1 minute and 2 minutes for their demo days. And those people get like millions of dollars in investments, like they're able to get their ideas across. So I promise you it's doable. And then so in that 2 minutes, what are you going to do? A structure that generally works pretty well is like what problem you're solving and then how your product solves this. So that's like that bundled together is like why this product, why I should care about your product, basically. It's like it solves a problem and it solves it in this way. And you can probably give that in just a few sentences. Like it shouldn't need like a ton of context really for that. And then really important is like this is like the founder market fit. So why your team is set up to build this, like what's your background, and like yeah, what makes you guys uniquely positioned to build this thing. And then finally, what's the big vision here? So this is like especially important if you're pitching uh, to VCs or you're pitching for like our hackathons in particular. Um, we do like to, we really want you to kind of convince us why this startup can become like the next unicorn or whatever. It's like it's part storytelling and it's part like extrapolation from reality. Like you can sort of extrapolate from numbers if you have users already. That's awesome. Like that's the best possible way to show. But if not, it's like a narrative or it's your thesis for why this is going to be your thesis for why this is going to be really big. So yeah, that's kind of the main pieces. You don't need much more than that. And then yeah, validation from users. If you have like numbers on that, that's awesome. All right. And then we have a few more things for our submission. This is just like to help us understand the project and like how you put it together. So we have a technical demo video. This is like actually, I think it's optional, but we definitely recommend it. Just helps us understand like the technical work. We also ask for a code repo. So yeah, there's like some proof of work done. We're not looking for code quality or like we're not looking to see that you wrote tests or anything like that, but it's just like what did you build the thing you said you were going to build, basically? And is it on Solana? And then we recommend a Twitter account as well. Especially in crypto, like crypto Twitter is huge for distribution. Crypto is kind of an attention game in a lot of ways. So yeah, it helps to be present online. And Twitter is really like the best place for that. So yeah, with all those pieces put together, the pitch, technical demo video, code repo, Twitter account, and then just like some kind of basics on the submission form. That's it. Like that's your submission to Colosseum. And I'm sure that pretty much covers the submission to any hackathon, really. But yeah, that is it from me. Check out the website, follow us on Twitter. This is me on Telegram. if you have questions or you want to just connect, and you're planning to submit to breakout, please do let me know.
Awesome, Nate. Well, we appreciate you. I do got one question because I remember Colosseum is a huge inspiration to Nexus. So first off, thank you for that. And then second off, when I was participating in Colosseum the first time, I remember thinking, uh, what exactly does a student put for the founder market, or like why they should be the founder for this product? What do you recommend for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Like, it doesn't, you don't have to overthink it. Like, it could literally be like, I have just been obsessed with crypto or obsessed with DeFi or obsessed with like, whatever AI tools in this particular space. Like, and that's what I want to do for my job. That's what I've been spending my time researching. And so that's why I'm building this project. Like, it doesn't have to be a resume where, you know, you have years and years of experience. Like, I know if you're in university, like we understand that, like, the position you're in. Just kind of just tell us like why you're interested in this and why you think it's a good fit, in your own words.
I appreciate you. Well, if anybody has any questions, if you have any time left, Nate,
Yeah, yeah, I've got time, at least a few
uh,
minutes.
if anybody wants to come up, ask questions, feel free to do so. If not, I'm gonna throw up the poll app while you ask them, and then no questions, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Sounds good. Let me pull this down. There you go.
I guess if there's no questions, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So Nate,
I see one. Sorry, in the
might
comments.
be, might be.
Yeah, for those new to the crypto space, what apps, category services would you suggest? Um, this is a really good question. So like, I'm obviously going to give you like a very Solana focused answer. And I also think it's just Solana apps are better, but this like really, this really depends, on like what you're interested in. I would say if you're interested in like DeFi and trading kind of stuff, um, Jupiter for just swaps, on-chain swaps and exchange, like it's just like the everything exchange basically. Um, Camino is like the it's sort of a DeFi super app, but it started as a borrow lend market, so that's like a big pillar in DeFi. And then Drift is like uh is where you can kind of trade perps, perpetual futures with leverage. It's also a betting market. Um, Also, yeah, I guess if you haven't used Pump.Fun, maybe go check that out. It's like a really degenerate launch pad for meme coins, which have been a huge theme in crypto. Um, yeah, that's like those are kind of the hot ones in I think like the kind of like financialized world. And yeah, that'll give you a good sense of like on-chain UX. All those apps are fully on-chain, so like on-chain UX. Um, oh, and if you don't have a wallet downloaded, probably check out Phantom. Backpack is also a really good option for wallets, because you'll need that to connect to any of these services.
Awesome, sweet. Well, if there's not any more questions, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Nate, we appreciate you. If you want to shout out where people can find you at Twitter, LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, nobody uses that in Web3, but Telegram or whatever, feel free to do
Cool.
so. Then we'll go ahead and shut it down.
All right. Yeah, I'm just putting in the chat my handle for Twitter and also Telegram. They're the same. If you want my LinkedIn, you can message me about that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for having me, Esvin. And if you guys think of questions, feel free to just hit me up.
Awesome. Well, that being said, we appreciate everybody coming out. Nate, thank you so much for the support, all the inspiration as well. And then I did make a little date error. The Solana submission is closes on April 12th. So it's 2 days before the Colosseum hackathon starts. So you still have 3 more days to submit your project for Nexus. And then if you really like that project and you end up winning, then you can take it over to Colosseum. So that being said, I appreciate
Yes.
y'all and see y'all later.
Bye, guys.